got smoked ham hocks. I got smoked turkey.
Stories new at 6. Embattled Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is mounting a re-election bid.
The self-proclaimed super mayor from Turkey, Tiffany Henyard, is at the center of what seems to be a real-life political drama between Thorne Township and the town of Dolton. Her donations have turned into media stunts, accusations of financial mismanagement, and even threats of eviction, despite the fact that Henyard's time as mayor and supervisor of Thorne Township has been anything but dull. It is unclear if she has evolved from a courageous leader to a political opportunist. Let's look at the chaos and figure out what is truly going on.
Last few days handing out free turkeys ahead of Thanksgiving. But in Thornton Township, the trustees say
the annual turkey giveaway for those in need has been held by Thornton Township for many years, and this year was no different. Let's start by talking about the turkey giveaway scandal, since the holiday season wouldn't be complete without a little controversy. She gave out smoked turkeys wrapped in hams. Henyard was grinning and called herself the super mayor and mayor of the people of Sri Lanka. Politicians love to use such romantic occasions to boost their image, but not everyone was having a wonderful day.
Board, but not announcing who they are just yet, instead promising to name them later this month. Henyard is under investigation by the
Mayor Tiffany.
Trustees and community members are increasingly criticizing Mayor Tiffany Henyard, claiming that she uses township events, like the recent EV event and turkey distribution, as a diversion from Dolton's urgent problems. Christopher Gonzalez and Carmen Parral, trustees, have been especially outspoken, with Gonzalez accusing Henyard of exploiting these meetings to further her own agenda instead of tackling the actual issues facing the township. Her frantic efforts to persuade us to attend a meeting regarding the turkey distribution are more about advancing expenditure plans that many of us feel are excessive than they are about assisting the community. According to Gonzalez, this criticism underscores a growing worry regarding the tension is exacerbated by Henyard's ongoing attempt to appoint a new trustee to fill the vacancy left by Jerry Jones' resignation in October, but Gonzalez and Carlisle have both refused to attend board meetings, depriving Henyard of the quorum required to move forward. Henyard's fiscal policies, as she continues to advocate for expenditure initiatives that several trustees view as needless and extravagant. This rejection of her preferred candidate highlights a larger conflict over the township's governance and decision-making procedures, with the trustees contending that community input should be incorporated into such crucial appointments rather than being determined exclusively by the supervisor's office. Instead, the people should make the ultimate decision. Gonzalez repeatedly emphasized that the procedure ought to be open and inclusive. The trustees are working to impose fiscal prudence and stop Henyard from making rash, unilateral decisions that could worsen the township's already precarious financial state. And this stalemate is a reflection of a larger conflict within Dolton's leadership. The conflicts around the getaway serving of turkey, as a clear reminder of the continuous struggle for control between Henyard and the board, emphasizing the necessity of balanced leadership that puts the good of the community before individual or political gain.
Because two trustees, as you mentioned, did not show up, Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle. Without them, not enough board members were present to make official.
In a heated 50-minute video released following a postponed board meeting, Mayor Tiffany Henyard provides a very different account of the growing tensions within Dolton's township leadership. She is not holding back when accusing trustees Christopher Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle of organizing a political boycott intended to impede progress and undermine her administration. She called her critics Judas, claiming they were involved in a determined plot to damage her reputation and obstruct her community initiatives. This isn't about governance, Henyard said. The drama surrounding Henyard doesn't end with accusations of political sabotage. It also goes deep into the financial management of Dolton, where accusations of extravagant spending, dubious priorities, and fiscal irresponsibility have drawn criticism. And she further hinted at legal action, promising to expose those who, in her words, were defaming her name and character when I go to court. The township's financial condition has gotten so bad, not only from locals and trustees, but also from outside watchdogs, that former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was called in to perform an impartial assessment of Dolton's finances. Preliminary results showed that Dolton's general fund fell from a healthy surplus of more than $5 million to a startling deficit of more than $3 million between 2022 and mid-2024. A closer examination of the township's financial situation has shown significant concerns over Henyard's stewardship and expenditure habits due to this sharp reduction. Financial documents exposed a number of startling expenses, many of which have been characterized as frivolous or expensive. The most obvious were the disproportionate charges made on the village's credit cards for everything from luxury goods to daily products. One very startling instance included purchases made at stores like Target and Wayfair, as well as a one-day Amazon shopping binge that cost more than $4,000. Residents and trustees are incensed over these expenditures, claiming that public funds are being misappropriated to meet private or non-essential preferences instead of attending to the urgent needs of the community. Henyard's financial behavior has been described by critics as reckless at best and outright corrupt at worst. One trustee said, "We're watching the village's resources evaporate while essential services go neglected." Many Dolton residents echoed this sentiment, growing increasingly frustrated with the administration's apparent disregard for fiscal responsibility as roads crumble, street lights go unrepaired, and public safety remains underfunded, leaving the community to wonder whether Henyard argues that her expenditures are justified and essential for community development, but her detractors are not persuaded and refer to the quick depletion of the village's financial reserves as proof of poor management. Calls for increased accountability and transparency in transactions have only been louder due to the worsening financial crisis. Some trustees are calling for an independent audit of all township activities. The Heard's administration is at a crossroads as a result of the growing criticism, with the mayor adamant about defending her reputation and deeds while the township's residents are left anxiously awaiting answers and solutions to the challenges that lie ahead, and the mayor, Tiffany Henyard, has tried to downplay growing concerns about Dolton's financial crisis by promoting ambitious initiatives like a proposed 100% property tax refund for local residents. However, as the controversy continues, Dolton is facing increasing pressure from both political opponents and disillusioned constituents. Regarding this innovative initiative, which she says will significantly alleviate the community's financial burden, the idea has been met with skepticism by trustees and people who doubt its viability and long-term viability. Christopher Gonzalez, a trustee, has been especially outspoken about the program's lack of thorough planning and transparency. He has asked where the money is coming from, Gonzo highlighting the lack of a clear funding strategy. He emphasized that putting such a large-scale initiative into action would be a difficult and resource-intensive task that would necessitate careful planning and a clear financial roadmap, neither of which Henyard has supplied, he claims. Gonzalez and other detractors see the program as a politically driven ploy to increase Henyard's popularity before the next election, rather than as a sincere attempt to help the neighborhood. The plan has generated a lot of discussion, with many locals questioning its viability and long-term effects. Although the idea of a whole property tax refund seems good on the surface, worries over how it will be paid have caused mistrust in Henyard's leadership to grow. Critics contend that the township runs the risk of incurring further debt in the absence of a clear financial plan. Gonzalez has noted that Dolton's financial reserves have already been severely exhausted, with the village's general fund declining from a surplus of more than $5 million in 2022 to a deficit of more than $3 million by the middle of 2024. In view of this financial decline, both trustees and residents are wondering how Henyard plans to fund a multi-million-dollar doll tax refund program without further endangering the township's financial stability. The absence of a thorough explanation about the funding of the program has stoked rumors that it is either unrealistic or based on resources that have been embezzled. Some locals have expressed their suspicion that the program is a smokescreen designed to divert attention away from more serious problems with the township's financial management. This seems too wonderful to be true. Because there are no definitive answers, many people saw the idea as a last-ditch effort by Henyard to gain public favor, rather than a well-considered solution to Dolton's financial problems. One person asked, "If the township is already in debt, where are these millions coming from?" Gonzalez has also cited. He raised worries about the possible administrative difficulties in putting the tax refund program into action, pointing out that it would necessitate extensive logistical planning, including creating a structure for figuring out eligibility, processing applications, and allocating monies. You can't implement this overnight, Gonzalo is warned, adding that the scheme appears to be more of a campaign pledge than a workable strategy given the paucity of preparatory work. The property tax rebate controversy has intensified even more. The separation of the trustees of the township from Henyard. Although Henyard keeps promoting the project as a game-changing solution for Dolton, trustees like Ailes are not convinced and insist on increased fiscal responsibility and transparency. They contend that the township should put more effort into resolving its current financial issues, such as fixing infrastructure, enhancing public safety, and restoring vital services, rather than pursuing ambitious but possibly unsustainable programs. Residents are struggling with worry about the township's future as the tax refund proposal dispute develops, and many are contacting. In the meantime, the lack of trust between Henyard and the trustees continues to impede progress, with both parties engaged in a struggle over the township's financial direction. This calls for an independent audit of Dolton's finances to ascertain the exact state of the township's budget and evaluate the feasibility of Henyard initiatives. In the absence of clear answers and a clear financial strategy, the question of whether Henyard's property tax rebate scheme represents a brave vision for Dolton's future or just a political ploy to divert attention from the township's growing financial crisis still stands. Doubt is rising, making many locals question if the promise of financial assistance is genuine or just another hollow campaign pledge.
Things are to kind of see some of the receipts that appear to be connected to it. And I think the taxpayers really
Many people describe Henyard's leadership style as unilateral and disrespectful toward competing views, and this lack of transparency has sparked broader concerns about it. Trustee Carlisle's recent report claims that trustees have accused her of ignoring them in important financial conversations and regularly launching major projects without first consulting them. Declaration: a local Dolton business owner expressed skepticism, saying, "I've lived in this town for decades, and I've seen leaders come and go, but I've never seen control." The situation has created a poisonous climate within the township's leadership, with board meetings frequently devolving into shouting bouts and abrupt walkouts. They reject monitoring. Residents are frustrated because essential township services and programs are still in limbo, and they are wondering whether the tax refund will ever materialize or if it is just another instance of Henyard flashy. They will say whatever it takes to get reelected, and we are left holding the bag. Despite the fact that Henyard's initiatives are impressive on paper, many people share the belief that they often lack the planning and substance necessary to have a significant impact on the community. Ida drew a bill that we will present to the Revenue Committee that would give everyone $5,000 off there. Then there is the issue of public safety, or rather the lack of it, as Burgess' certification is no longer valid, and he hasn't completed the required training since 2021. The Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board declares that Burge is not qualified to be Durham's new police chief in spite of this. Both trustees and residents were incensed when Henyard pushed through his appointment. Residents have expressed their dissatisfaction with what they see as a pattern of underqualified hires and subpar management within the police department, while Trustee Kiana Beller ruled the action illegal and pledged to contest it in court.
Funds for something that taxpayer dollars shouldn't be.
Matter. The mounting number of scandals surrounding Tiffany Henyard's leadership is being exacerbated by her own personal legal issues. Henyard and her partner are facing eviction from Jenna Toll Henyard's landlord, who claims that they have not paid rent since August. According to TL, the matter has reached a breaking point because several attempts to settle the dispute peacefully have been turned down. At first, TL thought well of Henyard and felt she was under pressure to rent her property to the mayor in 2021, but she now says she regrets that choice deeply. What started out as a seemingly promising rental agreement with a well-known tenant has turned into a contentious legal battle that alleges Henyard and her boyfriend not only stopped paying rent, but also changed the property's locks without permission, preventing her from accessing her own property. "This is a blatant disregard for the terms of our agreement," she said, stressing that the couples, Tall, who had been hopeful about renting to the mayor at first, now feels that Henyard used her position of influence to manipulate the situation, leaving her in a precarious position. The eviction lawsuit has drawn public attention from many Dolton residents, who described the experience as emotionally and financially taxing since she felt exploited and helpless. Critics cast doubt on the honesty and fiscal responsibility of their mayor, claiming that if Henyard is unable to manage her personal debts, it will be difficult for her to manage the township's finances, which have already come under fire for a number of dubious spending practices and budget deficits. When TL calls out Henyard's behavior as reckless and unethical, she is outspoken about her frustrations. "You must understand that karma will eventually hold you accountable," said, adding that she only wants the rent that is due to her. She also urged Henyard to accept responsibility for her conduct and pay her debts rather than using her position as an excuse to avoid accountability. Henyard's public image has been further damaged by the court issue, as some locals saw the eviction case as representative of a wider trend of financial mismanagement and dubious governance. Conversation about the moral obligations of public servants, with many wondering if Henyard's personal behavior is consistent with the integrity required of someone in her role. As the case develops, it is likely to continue garnering attention, which could have an impact on
those entities, as we know, can take anywhere from 2 months to 5 years. So we feel this option.
The eviction issue.
The eviction dispute is just one more layer in the growing number of problems involving Henyard. She just announced her intention to run for re-election, confidently projecting a landslide victory. The Triumph critics have accused her of using town resources for personal advantage, and federal authorities have reportedly questioned her opponents about her expenditures in both Dolton and Thoron Township. As residents and trustees grow increasingly furious over the current state of affairs, she stated in a declaration that victory knows the truth, and I am committed and determined to keep fighting for my village for the next 4 years. Public gatherings have become battlegrounds with heated arguments and occasionally police involvement. At a recent meeting, a resident reprimanded Henyard for putting her personal safety before addressing community concerns. Did we hear any plans regarding safety with the new police chief? Did we hear anything about guns? The resident said that it was more about protecting herself then. It was for the village's protection, but even her own supporters are starting to question her leadership skills. One social media commentator said that the Dolton Police Department should be disbanded and that multiple officers should be arrested, and that the sheriff should take over another additional. I think this is the reason Tiffany hosts these gatherings in Dolton. She can control the cops to resolve issues. These feelings reflect a rising disillusionment among the residents, who feel their mayor is more focused on upholding her own reputation rather than serving the community by conducting federal agency investigations, which, as we all know, can take anywhere from 2 months to 5 years. Despite everything, Henyard seems determined to keep going, as she has repeatedly defended her actions and accused her opponents of spreading false information and playing politics in one particularly memorable, the Facebook Live rant. Why would he listen to me in my life?
Because 2 trustees,
You
as you
just hear
mentioned, did
one
not show
side
up.
of the
Chris
story,
Gonzalez
but you
and
never
Carmen
hear from me.
Carlisle.
This is your
Without
super
them, not
mayor,
enough
she
board
said.
members were present to
At her
make official.
critics, Mayor Tim, we're here to solve the people's problems. However, the story that is being told around the world doesn't paint a positive picture. From allegations of corruption to court cases and public outcry, her tenure has been anything but smooth, and with the 2025 elections rapidly approaching, the stakes are higher than ever. Will she be able to hold onto her position, or will the opposition eventually overthrow the so-called super mayor? Only time will tell. What do you think about Tiffany Henyard's choice to abstain from meetings? Do you believe that she is a bold leader defending her community, or is she exploiting her position for personal gain? Are they just playing politics, or are they pushing for accountability? To receive further updates on this drama as it unfolds, please leave your thoughts in the space provided for comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe till the next time.